For years, this whole AI revolution thing has kind of just been background noise, right? Well, something just shifted. It's not a far-off promise anymore. It's a real, tangible change that's happening right now. So today, we're going to unpack what this really means for your career, not in some distant future, but in the next 2 years.
And look, if you're feeling that, you are definitely not alone. There's this collective sense that we've finally crossed a line, moved past the hype. I mean, the tools are getting scary good. The debates are getting way louder, and a huge gap is opening up. The people who are actually using this stuff are starting to pull way, way ahead. This isn't a promise anymore, it's today's reality. So what's the deal? Are we just in another cycle of tech hype that's going to fizzle out? Or is this something way bigger? A fundamental shift, like the printing press or the Industrial Revolution? That's the question we have to answer, because how you respond to it is, and I'm not exaggerating, going to define your entire career from this point forward.
Okay, so whenever one of these massive technological shifts hits, history tells us that people basically fall into one of 3 buckets. Understanding which bucket you're in, or which one you want to be in, is the key to navigating this whole thing. So let's break them down. First up, you've got the resistors. These are the folks who see AI and they don't see a tool. They see an attack on their craft, on their skills, on their very identity. They're the ones talking about the death of creativity, insisting a machine can never do what they do. Their whole focus is on protecting the way things work.
Next, you have the waiters. Now, this group isn't actively fighting the change, but they aren't engaging with it either. They're just waiting, kind of sitting on the sidelines, waiting for instructions, for the dust to settle, for someone else to figure it all out first. In past revolutions, this was probably a safe move, but as you're about to see, in this new game, it's maybe the riskiest move of all.
And that brings us to the third group, the curious. These are the people who just dive in. They aren't afraid to get their hands dirty, to experiment, to break things. They get that any powerful new tool has a learning curve, and they're willing to put in the reps to figure out how to make it work for them, on their terms.
So here's the bottom line. You have the resistors and the waiters who are both anchored to the past. They see this shift as a threat, and honestly, they risk being left behind. Then you have the curious. They're focused on the future, and they see AI as a powerful tool, a source of leverage. And they're the ones who are poised to pull so far ahead that the gap becomes almost impossible to close.
Now, I can hear what you might be thinking. Tech disruption is nothing new. And you're right. We have seen this movie before. This pattern has repeated itself over and over. But there's a huge plot twist this time around.
And this timeline says it all. I mean, just look at it. The printing press, that took decades to really change Europe. The Industrial Revolution, we're talking about a whole century. The AI revolution, man, it's happening in a matter of years, maybe even months. The clock is just ticking so much faster now.
But here's the thing you gotta understand, the pattern that repeats every single time. New technology doesn't just destroy jobs, it pushes our skills up the ladder. It automates all the boring, repetitive, manual stuff, and it frees up human beings to focus on higher-level things, like strategy, creativity, and making the big decisions.
Let's make this real. Think about it. After the printing press came along, the scribe who used to copy text by hand became the editor who decided what was worth printing. The hand weaver became a machine operator overseeing a way more productive system. And today, the SEO writer churning out generic articles is evolving into a creative strategist who uses AI to come up with completely new angles and ideas. The skill just moves up a level.
And this right here, this is why being a waiter is so incredibly dangerous this time. See, in the past, the gap between the early adopters and the people who waited was kind of like a straight line. You could always catch up. But with AI, that gap is exponential. The advantage is compounding month after month. The person who starts playing with this stuff today is going to be light years ahead of the person who finally decides to start in 2027.
Okay, so let's think about this. If AI can now pump out endless amounts of, well, average stuff, average writing, average code, average images, what does that mean? When the baseline gets totally flooded like that, what skills actually become valuable? How do you rise above all that noise?
I love this quote because it just hits the nail on the head. When anyone can make anything for basically zero cost, the real skill isn't making it anymore. The real skill is choosing what deserves to be made in the first place. The value shifts from the hands to the head, from pure labor to pure judgment.
So let's just give this skill a name. Let's call it taste. And I'm not just talking about, good design or aesthetics.
Taste is that sharp judgment to know which idea is a winner and which is a dud. It's the unique perspective that lets you connect dots nobody else sees. It's the originality that helps you create something that truly stands out from all the AI noise. That's the human edge.
So the big question is, how do you actually build this taste? Well, you build it by focusing on these core human skills. Think of them as the new liberating arts. These are muscles you have to train. The logic to build a case, the rhetoric to sell your idea, the psychology to understand what people really, really want, and, maybe most important, the agency to just go for it without waiting for someone to tell you it's okay.
Okay, that's all great in theory, right? But this is the most important part. What can you actually do, like today, to get yourself into that curious camp and start building the skills that are actually going to matter? Here are 3 concrete things you can start doing right now. First, build something. I don't care how small. A little project, a simple app, just put something out into the world. Getting real feedback is the fastest way to develop your judgment. Second, write in public. Start a blog, post your ideas online. It forces you to get your thoughts straight. And third, and this is a big one, use AI to be more ambitious. Don't just ask it for shortcuts. Ask it to help you tackle projects that, before now, would have been impossible for one person to even dream of.
And really, that's what this all comes down to. For a while now, the conversation has been all about efficiency. How can I do my job faster? How can I do less work? That is the wrong question. The real question, the one you need to be asking yourself is, what can I do now that I could never ever do before? Because the person who answers that question, well, that's the person who's going to build the future.